Who's gonna cue me, you or? Good evening, everyone. I wonder if we can bring down the music a little bit. Maybe we can get Luigi. Luigi, can you bring down the music a little bit for me? Thank you so much.
Go ahead and speak and let me know if the volume is.
Hello, hello. I think that's good, right?
I'll let you know.
I have a pretty strong voice, but I'll use the mic anyways. Good evening, everybody. Buenas noches a todos. My name is Yvette Gonzalez-Pekovich. I'm the president of the Doral Community Coalition. I have some of my board members present today. J.R. Steinbauer is present. Norberto Spangaro is also present. And Jesse Jones as well is on the board, and unfortunately wasn't able to make it with us today. I want to start off by thanking all of you, my neighbors, many of you, my friends as well. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today. That may sound a little intense, but you know what? It's really refreshing to see so many people in our community interested in what's going on and interested in what's happening in our county and really want to be a part, I'm hopeful, of a solution to what we are going to present here today. Before I get into the actual purpose of our meeting today, what I would like to do is just tell you a little bit about the Doral Community Coalition for those of you who don't know what it is or maybe haven't heard about it in a while. So the Doral Community Coalition is a nonprofit organization. It actually has a really cool story. So when Doral became incorporated, and sort of many of you were around during those times, and if you weren't, many of you probably have heard a bit about it, but there was a lot of work that was done by our very own residents to make that happen. And look at what we have today as a result. The reason why that happens is because there were two organizations that fought and did everything in their absolute power to make certain that Doral became a city. And that was the West State Federation and essentially the community council that was attached to the county at the time. Well, when Doral becomes a city, these two organizations ultimately end up merging and forming an organization called One Doral. And out of One Doral grew the Doral Community Coalition. And that's what we are today. What the coalition stands for and their mission and their objective is to ensure good governance in our city. That is our top priority. And that has a lot to do with why we are here today. So before I continue, I want to make certain that if some of you would like for me to repeat a little bit of what I said in Spanish, I am ready, willing, and able to do so. ¿Alguien quiere que repita un poco de lo que conté en español o puedo seguir en inglés? No tengan pena. Les prometo. All right, so we'll keep going in English. Regardless, you all will have our information. I hope each of you have signed our sign-in sheet, and we will be available to answer whatever questions and share with you and discuss whatever you would like to discuss as a result of today's meeting. Why did we call this meeting? There is something that is going on at the county level, and unless we speak up, unite, and mobilize, it will run right through us and we'll have no remedy thereafter. So the only thing that we could possibly do is mobilize. And my hope is that at the end of this meeting, I've motivated enough of you and I've allowed you all to notice and see what the issue is that you will want to come on this fight with us and mobilize with us. There is an area in Miami-Dade County that is very close to the city of Doral, and many of you might know it. On the west side of the turnpike, there has been quite a bit of development over the last couple of years. And I was incredibly excited. My daughter was even more excited that a Five Below was opened in this area. But the area that I'm talking about is where we have the Home Depot, Ashley's Furniture, City Furniture. It's just west of the Turnpike on the other side of Dolphin Mall. It's a large area. A good amount of it has been developed. There is still a good amount that's left to be developed. It's undeveloped at this time. And that area currently belongs to the county. Well, the county has a process by which you can apply, you meaning a city, can apply to annex an area that is part of unincorporated Miami-Dade County. This area that I am talking to you about, and I'm gonna spare you a lot of the numbers and like the titles of the areas because I think most of you know where I'm talking about. This area is in unincorporated Miami-Dade County. The city of Doral has applied to annex this area and bring it into our city as part of our city. Also though, and admittedly, about 60 days approximately before Doral submitted their application, the city of Sweetwater also submitted their application. The application is lengthy. I believe Doral's is 84, 85, 80 some pages. Sweetwater, I can't give you the number off the top of my head, but there's a lot of work that goes into showing the county that a particular city is best qualified, is capable, has the resources, and is able to annex this area in a way that best serves the entire county. Well, Doral applied, submitted their application in December. And the procedure is that they get placed on the agenda and it gets brought to the commission, their application. Well, when Doral files in December, they get a date in front of the commission. And when I talk about the commission, I'm talking about the county commission down in downtown government center. Doral gets a date at the end of January. The city of Sweetwater, who had applied earlier, also had gotten a date, and they got referred to the Planning Advisory Board, which is part of the process. So they moved along. Doral was set for the 20th of January, right after they filed their application. But mysteriously, and I hope that at some juncture I'll be able to figure out why on behalf of all of you, because I think we have the right to know, the Doral's application was taken off of the county's agenda and it was not heard. Meanwhile, the city of Sweetwater's application is moving smoothly through the process. In May, when we expect that Doral's finally gonna get their opportunity to get referred to the Planning Advisory Board, our commissioner that represents this district, District 12, commissioner, also now chairman for this term for the next 2 years, he files a proposed ordinance, so a new law, at the county code level, to amend, to change the definition of the word contiguous in the rules for the annexation process. Sounds pretty harmless, right? And it actually sounds pretty meaningless too. But it's not at all meaningless. It's incredibly powerful what he did. By him proposing a change to the code ordinance that is used to create and bring about these annexations, he is completely disqualifying the city of Doral. So what that means is that if this passes, our application will never see the light of day. And this really, really bothered me a lot. And it bothered me maybe to some degree because I'm an attorney, I do criminal defense work, and due process is the cornerstone of criminal law and in many respects, my practice. So when due process is not being followed, it bothers me a lot. And so the long and short of it is that our commissioner has filed a proposed change to an ordinance that directly impacts our community negatively, even though he is our representative. and that's not right. And so for us, we are here today because we want to share this with all of you. I want to take as many questions as I can because I think it's really important to understand what the proposal does. I think it's important to understand why this part of the county is important to us. And really, I just want us to have a fair shot at winning the annexation process or getting it approved. I don't want to say winning, I think that's not accurate. So we're looking for help from all of you. And there's a lot of things that can be done. There are some things that are more active, right? And there are some things that are more passive. It's really up to you all. And I'll talk about my call to action, or our call to action, if you will, in a second. The Doral's application is in jeopardy right now. The proposed change to the ordinance passed on first reading, okay? So it's already passed one step in the process. It was supposed to go to a particular advisory board. And once it got out of that advisory board, I believe that it's supposed to go to another reading. Well, for whatever reason, it didn't make it to that advisory board either. And so now it's just skipping that process completely and going straight to a final vote this coming Tuesday at 9:30 in the morning down at our government center. Our call to action is the following. We would really and truly love for each and every one of you to join us on Tuesday at Government Center so that we can stand up for our residents, for our neighbors, for our community, because this is just not right. All we are asking for, we're not asking for special treatment, quite the contrary. All we are asking for is to give us a shot. Let the applications be determined based on merit and not gamesmanship and nothing else. The second call to action that's a little bit more passive is we would love for you all to email the commissioners, give them your thoughts and your impressions about what you have heard here today. And believe it or not, what you say, what you believe, it matters. And they will listen. I genuinely believe that they will listen. But if we sit back, allow this to happen sort of underneath our noses, I think this city is way too special, has way too much talent, is way too capable to allow that to happen. There are a lot of reasons why we, and I speak as a resident, as an individual, as a member of this community, not as in any other capacity other than possibly as president of this organization. I genuinely believe our application has a lot more merit, and I think we have a lot more to offer. But that's not why we're here. We just want an opportunity to compete, a fair one. And so the long and short of it is that we called this meeting today in hopes that you all will be as bothered as we are and say, you know what, I'm gonna take those extra 15 minutes to write my commissioners, or you know what, Tuesday's actually a great day for me. Where do I need to be? It would be incredibly important to us, and I'm hopeful that I have communicated why this is so important. It's a very large area. There's a lot of tax revenue that's going to come out of this area. We are a growing city. People are moving to Doral by the day, and I genuinely believe that we should be given an opportunity to annex this particular area. And so with that, I was remiss, I wanted to thank El Sabor Doral, which is the venue that we are at here today. Yes, definitely. Luigi, thank you. Thank you so much. I was able to attend an event here recently, and I was really awestruck with how awesome it was. And I thought it was a perfect place. Plus, I think that the coalition and really the city as a whole, I feel we're really good about wanting to support our local businesses. And I think that we should always lead with that foot when it comes to events and meetings and things of that sort. And finally, I want to thank you all once again. And I don't want to just thank you, I want to commend you for being here today. It says a lot. And I'm hopeful that that you guys will feel as passionate about this situation, about this issue, as I do. So I think for the most part, that completes sort of why we are here. I do want to share with you, I brought some copies of the actual ordinances. If there's some technical information that you want me to get into, I'm more than happy to do so, but I don't want to bore anybody. Yes, of course.
Can you explain to us what is exactly that they intend to do, changing that
So,
word?
absolutely. So it's, you know, in my practice, right, and in criminal law, it's really hard sometimes to prove intent because I am not inside somebody's head. But how do you prove intent? You prove it by the circumstances, the totality of the circumstances. And chronologically, the way this has unraveled.
No, but that's not what I want to know. I just want to know the wording that they're changing, whatever that means. Why does it affect us?
Because by changing that definition, we no longer qualify. It's basically creating this 500-foot requirement that we don't have.
It's not in our boundaries.
Right. And so just by doing that, it's automatic, essentially. So it's basically changing the rules in the middle of the process.
Okay. Yeah.
Frank, yes.
Thank you, Yvette, for organizing it and the Doral Community Coalition, and thank you to all the residents that attended today, of course. My question is, the City of Sweetwater made their proposal, you said a little bit earlier, the City of Doral, they got to get a hearing in front of the county commission, and then the City of Doral was taken off at some point. They were promised a date on the commission, and then they were taken off. Did they ever, or does the City of Doral have a date at some point?
I do not believe it has a date currently.
I wanted to know the status of that.
What does have a date is this proposed change.
Got it. So
And
you want
that's
to do the proposed change and then think about.
right. Well, obviously, if the proposed change passes, then our application is knocked out. It's eliminated.
And that's unfair.
Correct. Yes, Caleb.
Before heading down on Tuesday morning,
Mhm.
are there any restrictions, COVID restrictions at Government Center?
For the moment, none outright. Obviously, you know, it's discretionary in terms of if you want to wear a mask or not. We will be there. We plan to organize. And so, you know, we'll be in contact with everybody. Today was just really an effort to explain to you all what is going on, answer any questions, and prepare. It all happened in a very short period of time. So it took a lot of hard work, and I want to thank the others in the coalition as well for making this happen. Yes, sir?
Yeah, what gives this FFDS guy so much power and authority to do what he did?
Well, I wouldn't couch it in terms of having so much power and authority. He is the chairman of the commission, so only one of the 13 districts, one of the 13 commissioners gets elected by or appointed by their own commission for a 2-year term to be the chairman. The chairman of the commission is the one that has oversight on the agenda.
But does that make all the other commissioners under him puppets?
No, not at all. No, that's exactly why we're here today. Each of those commissioners are individual.
You should have never gotten this far. It should have been stopped way back.
Well, but remember, I mean, that's why we're having this meeting, because unless those commissioners who don't represent Doral, remember, Commissioner Diaz is the one that represents, unless we go over there and we tell them or we email them or we give them our position, they're not really going to know. And so that is the purpose of today's meeting, to make sure that they understand why we are not in agreement, and basically the fact that we have a right to be heard. We needed to be treated fairly.
Can I add something?
Yes, Norberto, please.
I think one of the issues also is that under COVID, you can circumvent some processes.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't go to the commissions as it should have. And you can call urgent meetings and other stuff. So you can use all these tricks. And some people are pretty good at tricks.
And it is what it is, a trick.
Exactly.
So you all know a lot of what I am sharing with you all. I'm gathering it from public records, essentially. So if there's anything else going on that's not a public record, I wouldn't necessarily know. But I think what Norberto is referencing is that there was on an agenda item when it was removed, when Doral's application being heard was removed. According to the document, it was removed pursuant to an ordinance that was passed during COVID that gave the chairman sort of emergency powers to remove and place and operate the agenda under emergency circumstances. Again, I'm going off of public record and what I see. I don't want to be quoted because maybe I'm off, but I'm telling you that's what we saw, and that was my immediate thought, what Norberto shared with you all.
Is it true that Pepe Diaz is also terming out as commissioner and he may have an underlying tension for this, by maybe running for the city of Sweetwater eventually?
So there have been some rumblings, and that is my understanding. But I will tell you all, I want to focus on the fact that we are just seeking fair treatment. I want to be respectful. I've met Chairman Diaz in the past. He's always been a gentleman, very kind. He's been to a number of our events. He's in our city regularly, and he represents the entire Doral. Norberto, am I correct about that? He represents the entire city of Doral. And so with that being said, there may be some truth to that, but what I want to focus on and what I want the commissioners to know is we can't set this precedent. There needs to be fairness in this process. And what the coalition is about is good governance, and within that good governance, it's transparency. And we will take that to this city, we'll take it to the county, and if we have to, because it affects us, we'll take it to the state. Renee.
So you just you lead me to the question there is any legal recourse in the event that the ordinance passed and this whole scheme goes through?
I suspect that they're
Sorry
absolutely.
to put it on quotes.
No. Hey, you're a member of this community and you can speak your mind. I suspect that there absolutely are legal recourses and there are remedies. But again, my belief is that there's no reason for anybody to take it that far. And the fact of the matter is, if we did pursue legal recourse, who's paying for that legal recourse? We are, as residents of this community. So yes, but I don't even want it to get there because it's just so obvious in my eyes and in the eyes of the members of the coalition that we are not being treated fairly. And I think that the commissioners, I'm confident that our message will resonate with them. We just need to take it to them.
I have two questions, Yvette. One, is the commissioner also representing Sweetwater, Doral and Sweetwater?
Yes, portions of his district includes Sweetwater, is my understanding.
The second question is, I didn't understand if the word contiguous is added or deleted.
Contiguous is, think about it as being continuous.
But is it deleting or adding what's proposed?
They're adding this 500 feet.
Are they adding the word or are they taking the word out?
They're adding.
Adding. And we are not contiguous?
No one is.
Yes, he's on a corner.
We are. So the adding is what takes us out. Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you all for your assistance. Yes, of course, please.
What is the city of Doral's posture on this? What are they planning to do? What is our city attorney doing?
Of course. So my understanding is that the city is acting as aggressively, legally, and professionally as they possibly can. I believe that they have sent representatives to all of the meetings, even if Doral wasn't being discussed. I'm referring to when Sweetwater has gotten the opportunities. And my understanding is that the commissioner is well aware of the city's opposition and position on this. I suspect that the city is working incredibly hard to ensure that this doesn't happen, which is more reason, because our taxpayer dollars are at work right now, even more reason for us to mobilize and back up our electeds to ensure that the arguments that they're making are backed up by the residents of the city.
And what is the plan on Tuesday? How do you?
So the plan on Tuesday is that we will get an opportunity to be heard if we choose to. I'm hoping that we can identify a few individuals who are willing to speak on behalf of the city. And we'll get into more of the details of how we'll work that out, but we've already sort of had that planned out, and we'll spend the next 2 or 3 days putting that into action.
Is somebody from the city going on Tuesday?
I'm pretty confident that the city, this is a big issue for the city, and the entire council, the entire city is on board with the fact that this isn't right. Yes.
Do you know how the businesses that may be impacted, do you know how they feel about this?
That is an incredible question. And I didn't talk as much about the businesses at the onset because we represent the residents and the citizens of Doral. But that's a really big one. There are no residences in this area. They are only businesses. And so I have not spoken personally to the businesses in all candor, and my hope is that as things unravel, we will get the opportunity to speak directly. But my understanding is that the businesses who all have their mailing addresses, Doral, Florida, who all, I believe that they are all, or I believe that they support Doral's application, or would ultimately end up supporting Doral's application.
Has anyone reached out to see if, obviously you guys like Doral Chamber of Commerce, is there anyone organizing those groups to be there Tuesday? Because I think that would be just as important to have. Aside from the two competing petitions, this is them saying, we want you to review the petition.
Right.
And if you pass this vote, we don't get that chance.
Absolutely. And definitely our efforts here today have all happened pretty quickly because a lot is sort of happening without us necessarily being aware of it. So we have to be proactive to figure it out. But in the next couple of days, we're going to go ahead and hopefully have them also, as many as we possibly can come and be heard. I know that I spoke about due process. Due process is a very fundamental concept in our country. It's just the idea that people have a right to be heard. People have a right to receive notice when things are happening that impact them. And so it's a fundamental concept in this country. Those businesses, if we don't speak up, if we don't join with them and they don't join with us, they're not going to have a voice. And what message does that send to the rest of the businesses in our community? And so I thought that was an amazing point. Thank you for bringing it up, and I'm hopeful that we can also bring them into the fold. Yes.
Has there been any discussion about amending this measure so that it only applies to new annexation applications and not pending ones?
So that is an incredible point. You would think that if the chairman or any commissioner that supports this, you would think that they would say, all right, well, if there's some merit to this change in the word contiguous, that's fine. But if a city has already applied and gone through, that initial phase in the process and they've already begun, why are you changing the rules in the middle of the process? And so it's only been read once in front of the commission. You understand? So I don't know to what extent conversations have been had. All I know is that there was one opportunity sort of in the sunshine for this to be spoken about. And my thought is that should be the obvious reaction and position of the commissioners on the dais, right? Which is, let's wait, let it play out, and then we'll assess whether this makes sense. I will tell you, I have not been able to decipher from the language of the ordinance, and I did bring it. I brought a few copies if anybody wants to take it with them. I haven't been able to figure out what exactly was the intent behind this definition. Like, what does it serve? Typically, laws are attached to some purpose, right? Some intent behind it, right? Which we don't know at this point. Maybe that's a good question that some of us can pose on Tuesday. Yes, please.
One more, can it be amended on Tuesday, or is it just an up or down vote?
So on Tuesday, it's do or die. Do or die. So on Tuesday, if the commissioners, if it passes, then we're done. And now we've given up the Dolphin Mall and we've given up the West Side. Anyone else?
Even the Dolphin is included?
No, the Dolphin Mall already belongs to Sweetwater, but my point is that process was engaged in, right, where the Dolphin Mall was annexed. And that was some time ago, but I was just making the point, right, that these are areas that I feel a lot of us feel very attached to, right? And they're ours. I mean, I don't know about saying they're ours or they're not ours. The point is that, there's a sense of community here that I believe, and I've gone through Doral's application and I've gone through Sweetwater's application. And the fact of the matter is that our police service, the revenues that our city, we're just more apt and more capable of serving these particular areas. And so at the end of the day, I really want you all to walk away with the thought that this is about fair treatment. We're not here to argue that our application should win or I keep using the word win, that our application should be approved or that theirs. That's the next step. I hope we get to that point, but that's not what this is about. This is purely and simply about treating Doral fairly, and it's not happening right now. So.
Real quick, to answer your question about the businesses out there, I mean, we already got Topgolf, calls himself Topgolf Miami Doral. Okay, Pro Lodges has buildings in Doral. I know they would support our local government continuing to be a part of it. So I mean, we got a lot of industrial REITs that are out there that have properties and buildings in Doral. So I think, we would have a ton of support from the businesses. I mean, you go online and there's the Jersey Mike's, and it's Doral West. So, I think we got the businesses, but they don't have a vote with the county, and that's the thing. But I do believe that, to your point, the businesses would probably rather be part of Doral than somewhere else.
That goes to answer your question, because there are no residences, like they're not in the Dolphin Mall, nobody votes. So that's where the magic of the tricks can play a lot of things. That's agree with our votes and our voice can make us be heard. I think not only treating fairly, but it's a matter of ethics. It's a matter of ethics. Ethics in Doral has been probably very unique. We are very lucky. So we got to fight for ethics. We cannot let ethics be violated so bluntly.
So how can we on Tuesday make this a stronger case? Is it power in numbers? Should we try to invite more people?
Absolutely,
Do we have
absolutely.
capacity to bus hundreds of people?
We absolutely have that capacity.
We're working on that, and we would ask the people to tell us. Our idea would be to get a bus at the City of Doral. Actually, we're talking to the City of Doral about it, and go all together, to the commission and speak up. We want to speak up 20 people, 30, 40 people. We'll say 5 people, 3, 4, 5 people speak up, and we'll make our voice be heard.
Any other questions or thoughts, or comments?
Thank you.
Absolutely. So that I see that we have a little bit more left on our tables, filled with food, so please enjoy.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
My point of view, I'm just a regular resident, I have no idea